Well, thank you. Okay, so let me share my screen here. Okay, can everybody see it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we are going to talk about ABA, which is applied behavior analysis. Like Anita said, my name is Megan Huckins. I work for the Guidance Center, and just to give you a little bit of a background about myself, I'm the field supervisor in the autism program at the Guidance Center, and I have been here for about 4 years. I ended up getting into behavior analysis after working in a school as a parapro. I had a full-time subbing position doing reading intervention at an elementary school with 3rd through 5th graders. And it was there that I realized that I loved working with challenging kids and kids who were struggling in school. So after that, I went on to work at Madison Center in Wyandotte. It's a center-based program that services severely mildly cognitively impaired and multiply impaired students. So I was there for a couple of years, 3 years, working in special education and going to school to get my master's in education with an emphasis in applied behavior analysis, which I graduated with in 2020. And then 2019, I graduated with my degree and became board certified in 2020, and then also became licensed with the state of Michigan to be a board certified behavior analyst. This is my family, so I am also a parent. This is my husband, Ben. He loves all things Lions, so we go out as a family and watch the Lions lose a lot, but we're very supportive. So I've got a 13-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter as well. So this is what we're going to go over today. These are my main objectives, are to talk about the alphabet soup. So we have a lot of abbreviations in applied behavior analysis, starting right off with ABA. And there's a lot of other abbreviations that if you have any experience with ABA, or if you have a child who has autism and is going to be getting ABA, you're going to be seeing a lot of those. So we'll talk about all of that. We'll go in a lot bit deeper into what exactly ABA is, what autism is, how to get ABA therapy, and then what's going to happen at ABA therapy. So here are the most common, frequently used abbreviations in our field. So applied behavior analysis, ABA. A lot of times ABA and autism are used interchangeably, and that is not the case. We'll talk about that a little bit later. A BCBA is a board certified behavior analyst. That's what I am. So I took a specific sequence of courses and completed 1,500 hours at the Guidance Center working as an intern, and then passed a board exam. Then we also have a licensed behavior analyst. To become an LBA, you have to be board certified, and those are specific to each state. An RBT is a registered behavior technician. This is someone who has taken a 40-hour training and passed a test. The IPOS, the individual plan of service, this is a treatment plan. I'm limited in my experience to Medicaid consumers. So everything that we do is through Detroit Wayne. So not that this won't apply to people who have private insurance. I actually think it's probably going to be a little bit easier for people who have private insurance to be able to access the services that they need. But if you are a Medicaid consumer and you're going through Detroit Wayne, you're definitely going to have an individual plan of service. And you'll be working with an SC, that's a supports coordinator who coordinates all your services. So you'll talk with them, and if you need speech therapy and ABA and occupational therapy, they'll work with you to get all of those services. This next one here, the ADOS assessment, the Autism Diagnostic Observation Schedule. This is what's used to diagnose someone with autism. So it's important to note that a BCBA or a behavior analyst does not do a diagnosis. We only treat. The next one here, discrete trial teaching, is DTT. We'll get into that more later. I'll show you a video of it. Natural environment teaching is, we do this all the time. If you have children, you've done natural environment teaching. This is just like if you see an airplane in the sky and you point to the sky and you say airplane, that's natural environment teaching. You're teaching that child that that's an airplane up in the sky. These last two down here, the VB map and the ABLES, these are the two main assessment tools that we use. There are a few other ones, but these are the primary ones that we use. And these two tools give us a baseline to see where your child is at. And then we know how to write a treatment plan once you get into ABA. So you'll hear more about these letters as we go through the deck. So ABA is applied behavior analysis. The Autism Speaks website says it best: ABA therapy is based on the science of behavior. And what that means, two main takeaways. Behavior is predictable and it's shaped by one's history of consequences. And we look at not just the behavior of concern, but what happened right before the behavior and what happens after the behavior happened. So there's that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show this video, hopefully, there we go, where people are going to talk a little bit about ABA, some BCBAs, and some behavior technicians as well. If you guys cannot hear this for some reason, let me know so I can troubleshoot it.
So applied behavior analysis, taking a science that's been around for decades, that discover why people do things, how people respond to reinforcement, how they respond to their environment to improve lives and improve our relationships with other people.
A lot of the work that behavior analysts will do is set short-term increments or short-term goals such that they can then contact those larger later reinforcers.
So we just find ways of creating treatment plans to manipulate the environment to promote learning.
My job basically is providing therapy to individuals with developmental disabilities.
I can look at the science of behavior and apply it to physical health changes.
So traditional psychology is a lot of talk therapy. It's based on cognitions, on what we like to think of as private events. We focus more on the outwardly observable, objective aspects. So if we're treating depression, it would be seeing the actual changes in behavior, like what positive things is that person engaging in, what have they done, or how is their sleep? And that's where we can start to bridge that gap of the private events versus the outwardly observable. It's just making everything measurable based on behaviors.
There are 4 levels of applied behavior analytics. The entry level is the RBT, or Registered Behavior Technician, and works one-on-one with clients and requires a high school education or a GED. You will usually be paid upwards of $35,000 a year. The next level is the BCA-BA, or Board Certified Assistant Behavior Analyst, and works alongside a BCBA supervisor. This position requires a bachelor's degree in behavior analysis, education, or psychology, and typically pays $40,000 to $75,000 a year. If you choose to further your education, you can become a BCBA or a Board Certified Behavior Analyst. As a BCBA, you will create tailored treatment plans for your clients' needs. This will require a master's degree or higher and will typically pay around $75,000 to $100,000 a year. If you want to become a BCBAD or doctoral level Board Certified Behavior Analyst, you will need 10 years of experience as a BCBA as well as a PhD. BCBADs typically earn $100,000 or more a year. In order to open your own clinic, you must be a BCBA or a BCBAD.
When you teach a skill to a child and you spend a long time trying to teach it to them, and then there's that one moment where you can see it clicks and then they can implement that skill in their life, and you know that you've made their day easier.
My favorite part is when I'll see the kids come in, and I've been working with them for a little bit and we've implemented a couple different changes, and then the kiddo comes in and he almost can't even sit down before he starts telling me all the cool things that he's done. Just seeing the kids get really excited about those health behavior changes, because it's something that I love to see, but also the parents love to see it too.
I mean, it's so important to the individual and the family. Like seeing that, like I finally have my kid can say I love you.
So when we're looking at what are the different worlds, what are the different professions that behavior analysts can be getting into to make an impact, it's really limitless in terms of making meaningful change in the community.
When it comes to ABA, behaviors are seemingly infinite, so it's just a matter of applying our science to those.
So if I were to go to a factory floor, I can use the science of behavior and the science of behavior change to set up different contingencies to make sure that those workers are doing everything that they need to do to keep themselves safe.
There are new things like treating depression, gambling addiction, but also seeing how we can promote things like social acceptance, like reducing racism, like decreasing poverty, decreasing addiction, things like that, because they're all centered around behaviors and finding how it's just rarely applicable in everyday life.
Okay, so that video gave a lot of information. I think that it does a pretty good job of just giving an overview. But what I want to do now is just kind of give a real life example of how behavior is shaped and how behavior is predictable and how we look at antecedents and consequences to behavior. So this right here, this is my cat Meepers. He is a pretty chill little guy. He loves to snuggle. He's never hurt a fly in his life. And one day I'm getting ready for work and I hear this sound coming from downstairs. I cannot figure out what it is. So I go running down there and it's my cat clawing at the window, and there is another cat outside of our house, which is this guy right here, who we've named Panther. So Panther stayed by the door when I opened it up, and I gave her some food, and she came up and she ate. Now we're going to look at how our behaviors were shaped by this experience. So starting with me, what happened was I heard my cat attack the window. So I investigated, I went downstairs and I found a stray cat on my porch. Consequence, I went outside and I pet the cat, which is something that I like to do. So now when I hear my cat scratch at the window, I go outside and pet the cat. We all know, my family knows that Panther's here, get the food, go to the front door. Panther's behavior. So some of the things that we don't know is we don't know why she came to our door. We think it's because we don't have any dogs, and all of the houses around us do. So ours might be a welcoming area, but we don't really know. So somehow she happened upon my house. We don't know exactly why. And then when I opened the door, she stayed by, and the consequence was I fed and pet her. Now she continues to come to the window almost nightly because we feed her and we pet her. It's predictable. She knows that when she comes and sits on our front porch, a lot of the time, maybe not every time, sometimes we're not home, someone's going to come feed her and pet her. Now, my cat's behavior, why does he keep doing this? Well, he saw a cat, he attacked the window, and then when I went to go open the door, I threw some treats on the floor for him too. So now he scratches the window when Panther gets there because he gets a treat. Interestingly enough, he's also learned that if he scratches at the window and there's no cat there, that we'll get up, and sometimes we feed him some treats because we got up and we know what he wants. So that's how his behavior was even further shaped. Now getting into ABA and who qualifies for ABA. So a lot of times applied behavior analysis is used interchangeably with autism, and that's really not the case. So only individuals who are diagnosed with autism qualify for the autism benefit. And that, again, I don't know if that applies to private insurance, but that is for Medicaid consumers. With that being said, not everyone that gets a diagnosis of autism requires ABA. So applied behavior analysis is a really restrictive therapy. So it's one-on-one therapy. It's in a very sterile environment a lot of times. So it's not meant for everybody. And then autism is on a spectrum. So not every person with autism looks the same or sounds the same or has the same characteristics. This website here, Autism Speaks, has a lot of information and signs to look for. This video, this is a really popular quote. If you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. And I can say from experience that I have never had two clients walk through this store that are the same. Every single one of them is very different. So let's watch this video so we can see the spectrum of autism.
Every time I get up for work in the morning, I think about my very first friend, Dan Jordan. We were both in nursery school, right around the time these photos were taken, that he was first diagnosed with autism.
All right, you gotta get going. What are you gonna have for breakfast? What are you gonna have? Waffles or cereal?
Waffles?
Go ahead, get your waffles. By 18 months, 2 years old, we said, you know, there's something not right. His language started to emerge. We kept waiting for more of it to come, but that didn't happen with Daniel. In fact, what he did have, he lost.
I've known Dan my whole life, and I've never had a real conversation with him. I'll never get to truly understand what he thinks or feels.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But being friends with him has changed my view of the world. It led me to a job here at Autism Speaks as a video editor. Autism Speaks was founded 10 years ago by Bob and Suzanne Wright after their grandson Christian was diagnosed with autism.
He started speaking right on time. He was talking a lot about my mom. He always wanted to visit my mom.
I can remember the first time he came to see us and he could speak. He said, "Mama, mama."
Christian went from being a pretty typical 18-month-old, 2-year-old, talking very sweet and affectionate, to not recognizing my mom, not recognizing my whole family, screaming all day long, awake all night long.
Autism is the fastest growing developmental disorder in this country. In the next 10 years, 500,000 young adults will age out of school-based services. Who's going to take care of them? Where are the jobs? Where are the opportunities for independent living?
What's today?
What's today? Monday.
Today's Monday, yeah. Where do you work on Monday?
I work on Monday.
I think you're going to MetLife?
MetLife, yeah.
He's at the beginning of that wave. I mean, what's coming after him? Bye, Dan. Have a good day. What are they going to do for these people?
Hi, honey. Hi. How was work? A kiss.
Thank you.
Did you go to the cafeteria?
Are you going to cafeteria? Yes.
And what did you do at the cafeteria?
Spray the tables. You sprayed the tables.
He's just a great kid and a great young man, I should say. And I think of him as a little kid. He's 24, but he's still my baby. And he's deserving of a full life, just like everybody else.
Can you wave to me? Bye. Yes. Bye.
I just hope I get to hear Christian one day speak. Hi, Mama. That's what I'd love.
As I've worked on this project, I haven't been able to stop thinking about how and why I'm different from Dan and Christian. The truth is, we still don't know. You see, I'm on the autism spectrum too. I didn't speak until I was 5. I had behavioral problems, and I don't think anyone ever expected me to lead anything close to a normal life.
So I think that video does a really good job of showing autism on a spectrum. There are 3 individuals who look very different who are all diagnosed with autism. Here are some signs that an autism screening might be needed. Not talking or suddenly stopping talking. They talked about that in the video. That is a very common one. Not making eye contact, not returning smiles, no interest in other children, tantrums, meltdowns, not responding to their name, not cuddling. Those are all some things that might be an indication that your child needs a screening for autism. Other things over here, like sensitive to clothing, upset by major changes, flapping their hands, rocking their bodies, or spinning in circles. We saw some of those behaviors in that video that we just watched. Is there anybody who sees anything on this list that is sticking out to you that you might have some questions about, or you want me to talk about a little bit more? No? Okay. So we will move on. So notice up at the top here, there's two main categories. So individuals that are diagnosed with autism have deficits in social interaction and communication. And they also have something in this category over here too, the restricted, repetitive, and stereotyped patterns of behavior. So in order to be diagnosed with autism, the individual must have deficits in both domains. So with that being said, just because maybe you have a child who doesn't make eye contact, or you have a child who has some behavior problems, one of those things in and of itself does not mean that they have autism. There are lots of other things that can mistakenly get diagnosed for autism. And it's very important to get the right diagnosis so that you get the right therapy. So if you do that, you think that your child has autism after you've watched some videos and you've looked at some of those signs and symptoms that you should take your child to be screened for autism. The first thing that you're going to want to do is make an appointment with your child's doctor and tell them about your concerns. I would even encourage you to fill this document out. This is it's a modified checklist for autism in toddlers, is the one that is most often used. You can fill this out and take it into your doctor. This form is available at Detroit Wayne. So this link over here will take you to that, and you can print it off and have your doctor do the next step, which is uploading it. Well, after you talk to your doctor, you're going to call Detroit Wayne, and you're going to let them know that you've already talked to your physician and they've filled out the form. They're going to set you up with a supports coordinator. And again, this is specific to Medicaid consumers. Private insurance, I'm not quite sure. So they'll set you up with a supports coordinator. And after that, you're going to have your doctor submit that MCHAT form. And then you'll get set up with an ADOS assessment. So this is the assessment that is actually going to diagnose your child with autism. So if this test confirms that they do have autism, then you're approved for the benefit and you'll be referred to an ABA provider. If there's anybody who thought that their child may have autism, but now after listening to this thinks, no, they don't have autism, they may have something else, let me know and I can try and point you in the right direction of where to get more information to help you with your specific needs. Once you get in with an ABA provider, it's going to take some time. From the time that I have a new client to the day that they start receiving ABA is about 6 weeks right now. So it does take some time. So the ABA provider will set up the initial behavior assessment, and they're going to use more than likely one of these two assessment tools. And which one they use is going to depend on the age and the age of the client, and then also parent report. So depending on what the parent says, we'll make a determination which assessment tool to use from there. This right here is an example of one of the domains in the VB map. So we're going to look at this first one, emits 2 words, signs, or PECs. In this domain is manned. I didn't want to get too much into our ABA autism language. That is a whole nother presentation, I think. But manding just is a consumer's ability to ask for things that they want. So that's what this domain is about. And if I did an assessment and through that whole time, I didn't see the child ask for anything, in the parent reports that they, don't ask for anything at home, then maybe that's a goal that the family wants to work on. And so we would create a goal that's specific and measurable around being able to simply ask for what they want. And this is a lot of times, this is where a lot of consumers begin because it's the root of a lot of problem behaviors. If you can't ask for what you want, then you're going to have some behaviors about it. Like if I want a cup of coffee in the morning and we're out of coffee like we were this weekend, I am mad. So it happens. Next, you're going to get a treatment plan. And in your treatment plan, they're going to go over everything that happened in the assessment. So they're going to talk about everything that they saw during that assessment. And then they'll go in and they'll write some goals. So this is a very specific goal. This part up here should, in quotations, should be what you want as the family. So what you and your family want, that you tell your behavior analyst, and then they work around that to come up with a goal that's specific and measurable. So down here is my part. So we would say by October 26th of 2023, so that's our deadline, Dana will demonstrate the ability to emit 2 requests with a co-worker imitative prompts. So a co-worker imitative prompts is just somebody either pointing to a picture if they're using some sort of picture exchange, or verbally saying, chips if they want chips. And then the goal will be mastered when Dana can request for 2 different objects or activities with only those prompts 80% of all opportunities. Down here in their intervention, we're back to some of those alphabet soup that we talked about earlier. So this discrete trial teaching, and I have a video that will show more of what discrete trial teaching looks like. And then the natural environment teaching. So what this would look like for natural environment teaching, if you were teaching someone to ask for something, would just be if you know that they want milk, you're modeling for them how to ask for milk, and then going from there. So on this next slide is the video of what DTT would look like. So DTT typically takes place usually sitting at a table. There's not a lot of distractions, and that is specific to kids with autism, just to make sure that they're focusing on what they need to focus on. Oh, here's this video.
What do you want? I'm too like a
Strawberry?
Strawberry. That sounds like bacon. Strawberry. Juliet. That was better. I like how you said da. You got almost the straw at the beginning that time.
Okay, so you'll notice in that video, she asked 3 times for her to repeat the word strawberry, and gave her the strawberry and then went back and gave her some arm tickles when she did a better approximation. So she must have heard before that she can say strawberry closer to how it's actually supposed to be said, and then reinforced her immediately with it. So here we have some resources. Almost everything I got for this presentation was from the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network homepage, in the Autism Speaks website. So those are 2 really good resources. And then this one over here, the AFER modules, it's a resource where you can go, and it's like a training for parents. So there's one on there that talks about autism. It's 2 to 3 hours, and you can just click through it and go through it at your own pace. I wanted to see if anybody had any questions about any of that. Otherwise, I was going to go to some of those websites if I can and show you. Did anybody have any questions so far that they wanted to ask? Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can get to my other websites. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so this one right here is the Autism Speaks website. Tons of information and tons of resources here. They will, down here, what is autism? Learn the signs, symptoms of autism. And it also talks about Asperger's syndrome, which in the diagnostic DSM-5 is now included in the autism spectrum. So there's that one. This one over here is the Detroit Wayne website. This is going to be specifically for people who have Medicaid. And you can click on the Our Services. And then down here, it's going to have the autism services. And it's going to talk about what autism is, what applied behavior analysis is. And then down here, it's going to be all of those steps that we talked about in the in that deck so far. And it has where your physician of referral should go, in the website there, the access center. This number down here, I wish they put it at the top of the page, but if you scroll down to the bottom, this is the access
Megan, we don't
center.
see anything.
Oh, gotcha. Let's see. Let's try. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So Detroit Wayne website, that's this one. When you go to the homepage, access our services, you're going to want to go to the autism services, and then it's going to show everything there. The other one that I went to, I don't know if it'll let me. There's an autism brochure over here that you can print out and get more information from. I don't think it's going to let me click on the other A4 modules without. No, it's not going to let me.
Megan, would you be able to send me the 2 pages of resources so I can send them out?
Yes, I can send you the whole deck.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
If people want it, because the links, I did try and make the links in the PowerPoint like clickable. So if you click on it, it's going to take you right to that website. They shouldn't have to type anything in. So I will send that to you. At the end too, I do have my my phone number and my email in there. I really do. If anybody has any questions, if you're not comfortable asking on here, please reach out to me. I have the time. I'm happy to help. So feel free to reach out to me. Does anybody have any questions or need some clarification on anything?